पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
These are verses 21 to 24. Arjuna Uvacha Senayorbhayo Madhye Radham Sthapaya Me Achyuta Evadetan Nirikshe Aham Yodhukaman Avasthitan Karmayo Sahayodhavya अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे योत्समानान् अवेक्षे अहं ये एते अत्र समागताः धार्तराष्ट्रास्य दुर्बुद्धे युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षणः। संजय उवाच एवमुक्तो ऋषिकेशो गुडाकेशान भारत सेनयो उभयो मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम्. Sanjaya is relating to Dhritarashtra what is happening in the battlefield, and he says Arjuna has said the following: Then, O Lord of Earth, He spoke these words to Rishikesha, Lord Krishna. Draw up my chariot between the two armies, O Achyuta, so that I may observe those who stand here eager for battle, and know with whom I should fight in this toil of war. Let me look at those who are assembled here, ready to fight, eager to accomplish in battle what is dear to the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Sanjay said, O Bharata, thus invoked by Gudakesha, Arjuna, Rishikesha, who is the Lord Krishna, having drawn up the magnificent chariot between the two armies. Arjuna asks for the chariot to be placed between the two armies, so that both himself and Lord Krishna shall be there. By placing Lord Krishna midway, Arjuna desires to present a picture on the screen of time, on the screen of the eternal time. And what is this picture? The absolute being present between the two opposing forces, a picture expressing the inner mechanics of nature, which will explain the fundamentals of life and clarify the basic principles of war and peace for generations to come. Lord Krishna symbolizes the absolute being, which is the field of dharma, and which, by remaining between the negative and positive powers in nature, balances them. Although remaining neutral, it always supports righteousness. Although Lord Krishna is neutral, here he is with Arjuna, and Arjuna is enjoying his support. Here, Arjuna refers to Lord Krishna as Achyuta, and Achyuta has two meanings. Achyuta means immovable. Arjuna wants the immovable to start moving everything for him. Achyuta also means one who has never fallen, and thereby Arjuna wants to suggest to Lord Krishna that he will never fail him. Here, Sanjaya also refers to Dhritarashtra as Lord of Earth. He is trying to remind him that he has the influence to intervene and stop the two armies from involving themselves in self-destruction. He is conveying the seriousness of the situation. Both the armies have declared their readiness to fight, and now Arjuna is moving to the forefront. Every moment is vital and significant, and the destruction seems inevitable. And still Dhritarashtra has the opportunity to stop the war. Now Arjuna is trying to explain further why he wishes to be placed between the two armies. So he is saying, so that I may observe who stand here eager for battle, and know with whom I should fight in this toil of war. The skill of battle lies first in locating the strategic points of the enemy line, and Arjuna has such high power of concentration. And if he correctly located the positions of the enemy leaders, his arrows would fly straight at them. Arjuna is not only brave and has self-confidence, but he is ready for the battle. He wants to make sure that he carefully picks off only those who are eager for battle, and he would not concern himself with those who were not eager to fight. He further says, let me look at those people who are assembled here ready to fight, eager to accomplish in battle what is dear to the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. The tone in his voice indicates Arjuna's indignation against the evil, which supports Duryodhana's wish. The contempt is so great that Arjuna does not even speak Duryodhana's name. And by naming his father Dhritarashtra, he brings shame on him too. Dhritarashtra, the father of the evil-minded sons, is ultimately responsible for the threatened destruction of the whole community. It is wise for people of every generation to be cautious and not to tolerate an increase in wrongdoing in their surroundings. And it is important to nip it in the bud. It is the cumulative influence of these small wrongs done by individuals in their own little spheres of activity that produces national and international tensions and lead to catastrophe. When the collective karma or the action threatens national destruction, it is beyond the power of the individual to check it. This is even more true when it has reached the ultimate limit and is about to break into catastrophe. That is why Sanjaya reminds Dhritarashtra that even now he can intervene. Here, Arjuna is sure of his position. He is sure that he is making a stand to safeguard virtue and resist corruption. He does not think that all those who are assembled in the opposing army are evil in themselves, but yet they are supporters of evil. They are taking part in this evil. Here, Maharshi is conveying a very important message. There is a way of transcendental meditation taught by Lord Krishna to be practiced by each individual daily in order to infuse the transcendental divine consciousness into his own mind, so that by nature man may become freed from wrong tendencies and may become the source of good influence in all spheres of life. Again, Maharishi is saying that if one practices transcendental meditation, a technique actually given by Lord Krishna, then there is this infusion of the transcendental divine consciousness into one's relative mind, and the mind which has become conscious is free from the wrong tendencies and may become the source of good influence in all spheres of life. Had Dhritarashtra as a king educated his sons in the art of transcending and gaining divine consciousness, the royal family of the Kauravas would not have been the cause of this great war which brought disaster on the civilization of the time. This is a message which should be heeded in every generation. It is for the world's rulers and for those in public life who have the welfare of mankind at heart to organize education in such a way that everyone has an opportunity of learning how to cultivate divine consciousness. No generation should be allowed to leave behind an evil influence, the accumulated consequences of which will be reaped by future generations. Now Sanjaya is saying, O Bharata, thus invoked by Gudakesha, Arjuna, Rishikesha, having drawn up the magnificent chart between the two armies. Again here Sanjaya is trying to remind Dhritarashtra that he is Bharata, he is descendant of the great king of Bharata, the greater India. He is referring to Arjuna as Gudakesha. Gudakesha means the Lord of Sleep, and one who has mastery over sleep, who has mastery over dullness of mind, and one who has mastery over the mind and which is fully alive and fully awake. This is Vyasa's narrative skill. He uses exact and concise expressions with great fullness of meaning to tell the story. It only needs a mind and a certain consciousness to understand them in order to enjoy his writings and derive the maximum from his writings. Vyasa uses the word Uttamam to describe Arjuna's chariot. Uttamam, which means magnificent, has many meanings. It indicates magnificence, comfort, stability, lightness, and strength besides many other qualities. Again, the chariot is magnificent not only for its quality but also for its charioteer and the hero within it. Rishikesha, the lord of the senses, is the charioteer, and Gudakesha, the conqueror of sleep, is the hero. This is the essence of these verses 21 to 24, and I will add a few words. Mahabharata is not merely the fight between good and evil. Far from that, it is about our samskaras, deep-rooted samskaras, our patterns, and our inner conflict in being unable to do the right thing, not being courageous enough to stand up for what is right, and not taking responsibility to be complete. It is about the lack of awareness, the clarity, and the courage to follow the path of dharma, the path of righteousness, the path of integrity, responsibility, and enriching and helping others. It is a fight between the good and evil within us, not merely outside of us. It is actually a fight between the completions and then the incompletions within us, between the possibilities and the various samskaras and impressions and patterns within us. Dhritarashtra was fully aware of this war. He was fully aware that he is on the evil path of dharma and that he is not integrated, and that it would result in the destruction of the clan, the whole clan, his clan. Yet he seemed powerless to act otherwise. And Dhritarashtra's tale is common to humankind. Often we follow the wrong paths even though we know it is wrong, and we go out of integrity almost as if under a hypnotic spell of doubting ourselves. Dhritarashtra is blind not only with his outside vision but also within himself. He is the embodiment of self-doubt, always doubting himself and doubting everyone around. His unending attachment to his sons, especially the crown prince Duryodhana, had blinded his powers of reasoning. Whatever his sons did received his endorsement, and from early adolescence Duryodhana had been plotting to kill the Pandava cousins. Although Dhritarashtra pretended that he did not know what his son is doing, that he was pretended ignorance of his son's evil deeds, he was fully aware of what his son was up to. Even when Duryodhana and his brother Dushasana went to the extreme of disgracing Draupadi, the wife of Pandavas, trying to disrobe her in public court, Dhritarashtra seemed powerless to act. When Duryodhana finally refused to give the Pandavas even a needle point of land, still Dhritarashtra kept quiet, ensuring that blood would be shed. Duryodhana was aware that there was no hope to win the war, yet his greed for the power and wealth, his blinding greed for the power and wealth, blinded him to a point where he could not face the reality as it is. And here it is clear that both Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana did not take responsibility for their actions, the responsibility for the people around them, and the responsibility for the cosmos and this dharma. Bhagavad Gita, this whole knowledge is for enlightenment. One could read it as a story, as some intellectual knowledge, but when one begins transcending and then brings the transformation from within, then it is all for enlightenment. And that is why one should meditate, one should transcend before listening to this, and again transcend after listening to this, and see how the transformation is coming. Again, one should only gather 25% of the intellectual knowledge, and 75% should be experiential knowledge. It doesn't matter where one is and who one is and where you are beginning or starting. This knowledge will tell us that ultimately we can all gain enlightenment. Everything in the relative, the ever-changing relative phenomena, where one is influenced by one's karma and one's samskaras, the memories and the patterns and the impressions and so on. All of these can be changed and eliminated. One could rise in consciousness. One could rise from the individual consciousness to cosmic and divine consciousness. And one can lead a fulfilled life, a life full of bliss and a life in freedom. And this is the greatest promise that Bhagavad Gita offers. Jai Gurudev. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
गीताशास्त्रमिदं पुण्यं यः पठेत् प्रयतेत् वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं